To lose weight, the doctor told Themba to run 8 kilometers a day for 300 days. And Themba obliged. After 300 days, he called the doctor to report that he had lost a lot of weight. But there was one problem. What's the problem? Asked the doctor. Well, I'm 2,400 kilometers away from home, said Themba. It is Wednesday, and it is time to consume some wisdom from our well. We call it Wisdom Wednesday. And it's certainly not done by Themba. We can tell you that if you want wisdom, don't listen to Themba. Tonight, Coach Thami Banda, our resident customer service coach, joins to help us understand our customers better. We are Talk with Rams Live. We are live on Facebook and Instagram, and we are also on YouTube. Please like our Facebook page, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to the page on YouTube. In fact, I'll tell you it is very important to subscribe to the YouTube page because we are adding a new feature on this channel. But that feature is going to be exclusively on YouTube. So if you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, you are going to miss on this one feature that comes once a week, and we will be announcing it by the end of this week. So you want to be part of that. Mambo, good evening to you.
Habari. It's good to talk to you too. Mzuri-san.
Always good to have you here.
It's good to be with you.
You tend to warm me up in the winter, so I like that. I like that I hook up with you in the winter.
Thank
And
you,
we know you also go by the name Thami the McCallan. That's your brand on Instagram. Tell us about that.
Yeah, but there are new things that are happening on Instagram, so you'll be updated very, very soon.
Okay.
Great
But
stuff.
he is a brand ambassador of the McCallan. He is rather modest about it. As you can see in the background there, you know, he hides it for people not to see it. So it's not there.
He hides it, but
Mambo.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about this subject. You got me so excited. You know, I understand things better when I think about them from my own perspective. I've been in business for quite some time now,
Yes.
23 years, and
Wow.
I have never had a moment to really dissect and differentiate between my customers and even potential customers. And when you said to me there are 4 types of customers, I went, what? So you say to me, before we even get to the 4 types of customers, you say to me, selling is not different from gambling. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, look, selling is not different from gambling because I am reminded about one of our favorite artists, you and I, who has a song called The Gambler. And I see that Dr. Banda also had touched the nerve that we've got tonight the other day. So Kenny Rogers says you must know when to hold them, know when to fold them. And you know, it's quite interesting that he makes a metaphor on cards from a gambler, but we don't utilize that lesson that selling is win or lose. Kima dice, you know.
Kima dice,
so
yes.
Kima dice. So it's a game of pop or something else, you know. So in this case, when we are talking about 4 types of customers and we're talking about selling being a gambling space, your guesswork is on the product you've got, literally. That's where it rests. And I'm summarizing a beautiful paragraph you might have heard earlier. It's just your product that you have. That's your gambling point. That's your ammunition of gambling. Interaction with these people is gambling, but it's now different. They're like your cards. if you now get to know who they are. And that's what we are discussing today, to say these cards that you have in your hand, do you really know how to apply them in relevance to the product that you've got as well? So that's what we mean by saying selling actually is gambling. It's a win or lose, but you gotta know the guys that you're winning with or losing with.
So what I understand about gambling is that, contrary to what people think, it is not guesswork. You have to have amazing information about what you're dealing with. And well, you also have to be thick-skinned, because gambling can go wrong.
Look, there is a keyword that I used earlier defining gambling. It's a game of patience as well. You understand? And you've got to know how to be calm. I always say, if you want to understand to be cool as a banana, you've got to be like El Nino. You've got to be also like the phenomenon Ronaldo, guys whom you would say in the 18
original
area,
Ronaldo.
The original Ronaldo. Yeah. When you're in the 18 area, don't score it before you kick it. Don't score before you kick it. And don't also be in a hurry to see it in the net. Know exactly where you're taking it to. So that's what we mean by saying gamblers also have a skill, because they have that composure. They don't show you in their eyes that they are losing the game. They don't show you that their cards that they have are saying, my dollars are gone. So selling also is in the same context. Engagement with the customer is in the same context. You've got to know how to keep your cool, know how to remain in the game, but know also when to strike for the relevant part.
So I know all of us, when we go to sell to our customers, we've got a strategy. We've got it planned down. You know, we even write it down sometimes. But that's not dependent on us, isn't it? I mean, I can come up with this strategy until the customer responds, and then I'm thrown out.
Yeah, I mean, there is something that we will discuss on another day called the psychology of customer service. We'll discuss it on another day, because in that space, you need to understand a number of factors. People don't purchase a product. It's important to always remember that part. They never ever purchase a product. People always purchase either the service itself or the satisfaction of the need. It's never about the product. Jerseys are everywhere in winter, but there is a place where you know that a credible quality jersey is found at a place X, and it's only because you've been there. So what you are now purchasing is affinity. It's no longer the product, it's affinity. So sometimes we need to go to those basics before we even say, okay, do I have the right customers? What affinity do I have? And I've bought them a number of times, purely because whenever I was dropping my daughter to preschool, she was on the side of that road and she was well positioned at the traffic light, ma'am. Most of the time, my car would be blocked by that traffic light. And I would also wonder what next, and I would buy Magwinya from her. So what I eventually bought, the first time I tasted them was like, they are good. I'm not too sure whether it was because I had not eaten Magwinya for a long time, but because also she was a convenient person to find. And I knew that I don't have to struggle to get to her. It was on my pathway. So what I was now purchasing was convenience and the taste that I'm not used to. Whether the product was the one or not, it didn't matter to me. Whether there was a lady 6 traffic lights away who sold the same product, it didn't matter to me, because affinity was met by somebody else before her. That's it.
I like that example, because it leads me to my next question. You see that lady that sells Magwinya?
Yes.
Meets a lot of people every day.
Yes.
And this makes me very angry. She meets a lot of people who say, so mama, malini kunyalako. And she would say, whatever, 1 rand. And then a lot of us very sadly say, go to your ma. And when that happens to us, when the client gives us that feedback about our price, we start panicking. And we start putting a new price because we are panicking. Does that happen?
Yes.
Is that something we should be avoiding as business people?
I think as business people should not avoid competition. I just want to put it that way. Business people should not avoid competition, because competition defines you. Let me give you an example. I've often been asked this question, as you said earlier, that I'm an ambassador of the Macallan, right? One of the things that I look at time and again I encounter time and again is people saying, which whiskey is the best, right? And I always say to them, before I tell you which whiskey is the best to me, because this is now about my taste, it's not about the industry. The industry is a slice, is a whole pie. We are just cutting our own slice, but it's important for us to grow the whole pie. So as a business person, you must always be willing to play a meaningful role in the development of the whole pie, and then you cut your slice. Loyalty of consumers is the one that sets you apart, but competition is the one that pushes you to excel. So you shouldn't be worried about R1.50. No, it's R1.50 because maybe she's not putting as much effort to yours when it's R2. It's the quality of a matter. So don't worry about competition. Focus on the goodness of your product and the value that your product brings in terms of satisfaction. And that's the most critical part in being a business person.
So I'll tell you this much. And so when I do sales coaching,
yeah,
I'm careful when I have to share this with a lot of, especially startups and stuff like that. So somebody comes to me and say, yeah, but next door 50 cents. So I normally say to them, actually, when somebody tells me I'm expensive, I actually tell them, I don't even wait for them to tell me about somebody who's cheaper. I actually recommend somebody who's cheaper than me. I tell them, actually, you don't have to buy here. Do you know that if you go 3 streets down the road, somebody sells the same liquid, like 50 rand, 50 cents. Yeah. So actually, go buy that one. I think you should be buying that one. Now, people panic when I tell them that. And I say, I do that for 2 reasons. I do that because I am not competing with the person who's selling liquid cheaper than me.
Yes.
I'm competing with the conscience of the customer, whether they want to buy from me or not. That's the one person I'm competing with all the time. And when I show boldness and tell them they can go buy from somebody else, then they think, well, this guy trusts himself. Maybe we should buy from him.
Mambo, we spoke about the coolness earlier on, just in the introduction. What you are now explaining there is the level of calmness that actually makes people believe in your product, because that's the part that we don't have at all times. Let me give you the psychology of customer service as we build up into this, and you see what I'm talking about. You are a guy, you grew up, you proposed girls when you were at high school, when you were at tertiary, and so on, and even in your later stages of life. One thing that we've always known when we propose a lady is that firstly, you need to be sure about who you are in what you say. If you doubt who you are, what you say will not come out. So if I'm very sure about who I am, it's like, even if I get it wrong, but if it's me, I'm fine. So in this case, whether your product is even salty, Mambo, the fact that you gave the reference, you were bold to speak about a competitor down the road who befits the price, it tells the person that maybe this one caters for people who eat salty magui. Like I've always argued that there's no difference between halal and kosher. The animal is killed the same way. Now it's worse for me as an African who doesn't believe in Hebrew stuff or in Islam stuff. Now I'm just eating meat. So there's nothing for me to really obey in that case. But the truth of the matter is this: your level of confidence towards your product defines the sale. And that confidence, in your case, Mambo, your level of confidence in a product defines the sale. Your confidence in that case is very simple. It is in saying, try next door before you come home, because clearly you are not willing to be home yet. You taught me something a couple of years ago indirectly. I've approached what I call an Indian businessman approach. I don't turn down a person who wants me to offer my services of customer service, like coaching or training, when they say, no, but I can get the same service for 15,000 rand. I say, yeah, sure, go for it. If he says to me, I've got 7.5, you see, if you say that you can get the same service for 7,500 rand, I say, sure, go for it. If my charging fee or my appearance fee is 20,000 rands and you're saying, no, Pracham, I only have 12,000, let me give you a promise. I will not turn you down, but there's something that I'm going to do. I'm going to give you 12,000 rands worth of work, not 15,000 rands worth of work. So if you bargain by value to me and say you can get it cheaper, for certain, go get it cheaper. But if you say to me, I only have 7,000 rands from my fee of 20, I actually will show up, but I will give you the service worth 7,000 rands. And I love it these days because there's also virtual talks. I might not need to be with you.
Okay, so let's get to the heart of today, the 4 types of customers.
Yes, sir. So there is 4 types of customers, and we'll get into details. And I've prepared my notebook, and I hope the guys also have their notebooks, as I asked earlier on. The first type is the price buyers, and we'll explain who they are. And then we have the relationship buyers. I love these ones because they literally explain a lot of things about us. The third one, we've got the guys that we call value buyers. And then the last one's our favorite, the poker player buyers, you know, the gamblers that we spoke about earlier on. But into it, Mambo. The price buyers, I mean, these are customers who want to buy products and services only at the lowest price possible. Let me just put my notebook aside. They want to buy at the lowest price possible. So here is the situation right now. I mean, I'm going to make a very bad example. I mean, the alcohol industry, there's bootlegging everywhere. There's bootlegging. So Ngudu only rekaga 20 rand 2 days ago. That Ngudu could very well be 60 rands. Okay. So if you are saying that this Ngudu was 20 rands 3 weeks ago when there was no lockdown, why is it sold at 60 rands? Let me be honest with you. It has nothing to do with scarcity. It has everything to do with that lady securing herself in case somebody says you are selling illegally. So you've got to understand that the value chain of the price point also helps you to define who walks in. So a customer who comes in and says, how much is this? That's a price sensitive person. I learned this from a dealership. If you go now and run back at a Porsche dealership, none of the cars that are in there, especially the brand new ones, have a price tag. Because if you want a Porsche, they certainly know which category of a consumer you are. And which is something that small developing businesses should really focus on, entrepreneurs should focus on. As much as you have that great product with you, please take your time to define your consumer so that you don't sell for everybody else. There are products in this world that need to sell 2 units in a year to make their profit margins. Think of your product the same way, because when you come across a value buyer, when you have a product that can be sold for a higher price, he will come to you and try and talk you out of it. If you're offering a service that is worth a higher price, he will try and talk you out of it. Especially the key thing to identify these people is a very simple statement or question. How much is it? I mean, how do you define somebody who questions you, how much is a garment when it has a price? He's already telling you what is enshrined there is not proper. So I normally would say I would normally say to a sales representative at that time, if the garment is 350 and somebody says, how much is this? You normally should say it's 500 rands. So why is it 350 today? No, it's marked down.
Yes.
You've defeated him. Yeah.
The price buyers have their place, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, they're not necessarily outcasts. They do have their place. And I suspect, you know, somebody who, I don't know, I can't think of somebody now, but, you know, somebody who sells easy wares and stuff like that can play in the price space. They don't play in the value space. So the price buyers have price sellers too, don't they?
They do, Mambo, but they don't. You must remember, every consumer wants to be associated with quality. It doesn't matter how inferior, but they want to be associated with quality, whether it's great or inferior. So unfortunately, even when they have their place, they will always try their luck. Remember, everything is a habit. If you are used to negotiating, I mean, my first car was a Fiat Uno. Every mechanic, I would negotiate with them because I used to think, I mean, it's a Fiat Uno, it's a 1.1 engine. You were once in it, by the way. You know, everything is affordable in it. So I don't understand why I must pay 800 rands, 900 rands for service. So I would always negotiate. But you see, being a creature of habit, you now want to also negotiate when you are driving a Volvo because it's in your mindset. So as much as they have a place, but they also have a habit. So even when they develop and grow and become affluent, affording people, they still want to push their luck and say, no, this is priced out of range. It's in them. It's up to you to educate them the quality of what your offering is, because your quality always justifies the price.
Okay. You know what I'm suspecting?
Yes,
I'm
sir.
suspecting that we're going to have to continue this conversation because you also have strategies of how to deal with these different buyers. But for now, I want us to talk about the buyers first. So let's go to, so if we don't finish, we'll go to the strategies, in the follow-up conversation. So relationship buyers, who are those?
Yeah. So relationship buyers are people who expect their suppliers to invest in understanding the business their product or service support. So I remember we were in your old days, you were at a radio station at Metro FM, I think, and we discussed this type of consumer indirectly, where we say it is important sometimes to have a product that has got heritage. You know, I'm selling beadwork, and these beads this beadwork is supported by a cooperative of grandmothers in this place in Soweto. You know, they are in an old age home, whatever the case might be. Relationship buyers are the ones who love the value chain, because to them, loyalty is key. And they are not necessarily loyal to you and the product. They are loyal to the process. They are loyal to the heritage, the story behind. And you find them even in the family. When somebody buys a jacket and say, nice jacket, he says, you know, the buttons are actually made by grandmothers who come from Soweto. To them, it's not about the jacket. It's about that small touch. You know, if they drink whiskey, they say, do you know what kind of wood it's matured in? It's loyalty. So you've got to empower relationship buyers with that heritage, with that story behind the product and what informs the product that they see in front of them. And that is a relationship buyer.
Wow. So these guys use the heart more than the head.
That's why we call them relationship buyers, Mambo, because you would know English does not have an innocent word. It's a multitude of words that form a word sometimes. It's a ship you get into with an intention to relate. That's why we call them relationship buyers. They get into this ship not because they want a product. They get into this ship because they say, I want to relate with this guy. What informs his business? What informs his knowledge? You know, when we sit down and we have a chat about Scotch whiskey, most people say, we believe what Thami says because he spent time in Scotland, he spent time in these places. Now, they are not buying the information I'm giving. They are buying the history, the heritage I have behind. So that's why, again, I'll use the metaphor I've always used when I'm chatting to you. A person who signs a contract to play for Barcelona doesn't sign for the club, signs for the heritage. Similar to that consumer who buys a product because he has a history and an understanding of what is behind the product.
Is this why, and you know, when you make a football example, you get me started. Is this why a player like Steven Gerrard, in spite of how many offers came his way, he was never going to leave Liverpool because he was married to the culture of that club?
And he knew that immediately when he leaves Liverpool, he will walk alone. So he bought the concept that he should never walk alone. He bought into that concept. And I'm being honest with you. You know, there is a payoff line of one of the municipalities in Gauteng. It says, and it starts here. And I don't think they've mined that phrase properly, that it starts here. And it's so true. All of us start there. If you want to connect into a journey, if you want to get into business in Gauteng, you start with them. You learn the Tegurulin. They have not mined that perfectly for people to create a relationship with them. I hope in future they will. Through this show, probably someone is listening and will take that into seriousness. It's true, Mambo. People who are relationship consumers are into loyalty more than anything. That's why even there's a bunch of people who are eager for the PSL to start because they have never been in the position where they are at for such a long time. Because to them, they've been loyal without a reward. Relationship buyers.
Yeah. So now you get to the next segment of buyers, and you use a word that I associate with another coach of ours that comes on Mondays, the word value. What's a value buyer?
A value buyer favors suppliers who add value to the operation in terms of increased efficiencies. So let me give you an example, Mambo. I mean, we live in a technology world right now. If you are saying that my point of sale is backed by SAP, for argument's sake, it's a credible company. Everybody knows their point of sale equipment. So even facilitating a refund on a credit card is something that is not complicated. Value buyers want to know, honestly, what can be done efficiently to reduce cost? What can be done to fast track the process? So those are people who always want value. So in other words, if for argument's sake, if you are purchasing an item, like you and I have consumed what we define as handcrafted whiskies, the value buyer will say, but in the absence of a guy turning barley, can't we have a machine that can fast track this and get this product within 3 days? And we say, sure, it can be done. But the guys who are producing are no longer into that, because to them, it's now labor of love. So a value buyer doesn't have labor of love in his purchase. What he has is what can be done efficiently for me to get into the end of this product, or for me to get access to this product. So there are people who say, I want to know the value chain and how quick does it create a turnaround for me.
Yes. So
these value buyers, most of them, value buyers, most of them, I would literally say they are Chinese.
But these are also the guys who would ask a question like, if you were, let's say, a manufacturer, they would ask you, but do we need this part? Do we need this part of the process? Why can't you jump to the next process? Because for them, it means if you jump to that process, you're cutting out an unnecessary process, then I get value for my money. Is that the kind of guy who would do that?
It is, Mambo, because to them, high margins is a phrase of choice. Cut the process, but create the high margins as possible. You know, I've always argued that if you come to the world of whiskey as an example, and this is not to badmouth any whiskey, we appreciate the role they play in the category. A blended whiskey doesn't have a process that it goes through. It's different whiskeys that are put together and they are bottled. So the process is quite minimal. There's no barley to plant. There's no fermentation to happen. There's no distillation required. It's just a combination of different whiskeys that are put together, and that's what a blend is about. So in this case, you are having somebody who says, I am enjoying a blend of different malts, so I'm getting the character of malt. And then you are saying, no, I'm a singular person. I want to appreciate the concept of one distillery's reasoning behind this. So every value buyer wants to say, can I have the same thing at an efficient production, quick enough turnaround for me with the highest margin possible?
Wow. So, I mean, I don't want to preempt solutions. So my sales coach years ago taught me to deal mostly with value buyers. He said, if you want to make money, find the value buyers.
Yes.
Because these guys, 9 out of 10 times, they know what they want. They have decided that they want to work with you, but they want to get a bit more value than what they're paying for. So he says, before they even poke questions about the value, you must offer them more. So he says the simplest things you must always do is that, so I'm going to give you this jacket, and it is worth this much. It was handcrafted. I've got 8 women who put this jacket together. Every single part of it is done by 8 different people. It's not a machine. But if you get this jacket, you always get a scarf that goes with it, and that is from me. You don't have to pay for that one. He says, if you can't give them value by minusing a process in building a product, add something on top, and it's called value add.
I've always believed, and you've known me, that I'm one of those guys who believe in value add. There, you are actually coming with a strategy on how to deal with them, how to manage a value purchaser. Because why the coach had said you must always seek value buyers, it's because a value buyer is a guaranteed sale. He's not worried about the price. What he's worried about is what is in it for me after I give you my back. So if you are saying to him, when you buy this jacket, we promise you the first 2 dry clean sessions are on us. Oh, great stuff. You know, you just need to remind him as he walks. Yeah, you need to remind him when he walks out that, yeah, that excludes the beetroot stain.
Yeah, or the hanger.
Exactly. Because what you are saying to him is, I know that you have bought, but you want actually a value buyer. Wow, this is the best way. The value buyer is a person who seeks a reward of why they purchased.
Okay, good. Let's get to the next one. the crazy buyer. This buyer I like, the poker player buyer.
I think all of us are. I think
Yeah.
the most of us, in fact, are poker players, because poker player buyers are very interesting. They are in between the value and the relationship buyers, but they disguise their things, because the intent for them is to say, can I get it better? Can I get it efficiently? And still don't lose the quality of what I'm purchasing for. So they would always, their intent is acting like a price buyer to force a bargain, but they understand quality, make no mistake, and they know value very well. So a poker buyer is an established businessman. It's what in the business language, when we are in a boardroom, we'll say that guy is shrewd, man. You know, he cuts to the chase, but he's shrewd. That's what a poker buyer is. And I think a lot of us are, because one day I walked into a very famous retailer in South Africa, and I found a loaf of bread for 60 rands. And then I asked myself, if it's 60 rands, I mean, that's 4 loaves at Pick and Pay, for argument's sake, right?
Plus change. You get a bit of change.
Plastic bag. Now, my worry was that it's not the question of not affording. It's the question of understanding why 60 rands. At that moment, I was a poker buyer, because I had the money to buy the bread. It wasn't what I went there for, but I had money to buy the bread. I was inquisitive enough also to want to know what is behind the 60 rands loaf of bread. And I was also comparing right there but there is also 4 loaves in one loaf. So you can see I'm sensitive on the price, but inquisitive of the quality. That's a poker purchaser, right? He's aware, like he tells you, it's a sports car, I know, but I can also get a sports car at Toyota at a certain price. It will also be a 2-door. So he's that guy. He shows you he's aware of the competition. He is aware of what value he should get. And he would always try and poke, hence the name poker, poke you for better value or for a better price. He's always in between. And we should always be aware of that one. The poker player, by the way, when we use a metaphor of relationships, is that person that says all the right things and the lady wants to be with you, but shows you the face, out your sport. Don't expect a call.
I don't want to be a poker player buyer. So listen. so listen.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be 30 minutes of the best digital content you can find. We've run out of that 30 minutes. We have to conclude. So I need to get a commitment from you. In fact, I would say we need to talk about the strategies of dealing with all these 4 buyers next week, Wednesday. However, I want to find out from you, if tomorrow morning I manage to cancel the guest I'm supposed to have, would you be willing to come tomorrow while we're still hot on this topic?
Certainly. I mean, to be in this platform.
Not guaranteed. I still have to go and beg the next guest to say I must drop them, because I want us to continue on the strategies of dealing with these 4 buyers tomorrow.
Great stuff.
Good. But before you leave, I've got 2 questions quickly, and don't go forever in answering.
Yeah.
Angel Nsuminkosi says, I'm in construction, and most potential clients we try to attract tend to go the foreign cheap labor and prefer to use them, as they think it's better to pay an individual than a company and see it cheaper. How can we change this mindset and gain them as our clients as we target estate homes? No, I've changed my mind. This is exactly dealing with strategies now of addressing different customers. So, Angel, all things equal, we're doing this tomorrow. I'm gonna get him back. We're gonna respond to these questions, all questions about dealing with all types of customers. I hope it is tomorrow. If we fail, it will be next week, Wednesday. But I'm gonna beg this guest for tomorrow to say, please allow me to finish a conversation I started yesterday. So, Coach Thami Banda, the McAllen Banda, have a great
evening.
The McAllen Thami, always wonderful having you, my brother. I truly appreciate your input.
Thank you, sir, and thanks to the platform and also to your lovely viewers.
So, Angel, everybody else who's joined us on all platforms, all things equal. We are back tomorrow, same time, same place, with the same topic, but now expanding on the strategies. Go think about the clients that you deal with. Send us the questions even up front so that by the time coach comes in, he can then start answering your questions. So we're back tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Talk with Rams live. I can't tell you what we're doing tomorrow because I don't know now. It could be Coach Thami, it could be somebody else. Frederick, thank you very much, mate. And from me, Rams Mabote, good night and God bless.